And good evening. Welcome back to the Alexandria Brief. I'm Ryan Bellamore, founder and publisher, and we're continuing our conversations with the Democratic candidates running in Tuesday's District 5 firehouse primary. Again, if you want more information, if you're not sure, if you live in District 5, it does not include all of Alexandria, you can visit this website, which is not the easiest one ever to remember, but if you visit the Alexandria Democratic Committee's website, alexdems.org, you can find that as well as the map where you'll be able to find out if you're voting this Tuesday. It's all moving quickly. I suggest looking it up ahead of time. There are two polling locations. And then the winner on Tuesday will go on to face the Republican candidate on February 10th. I've also invited all of the candidates to join us for chat. So we're getting all those done, and they can all be watched, compared, contrast, available on our website. Next up for our conversations is Eileen Cassidy Rivera. She served on the Alexandria City School Board, where she worked to close the achievement gap and ensure access to quality public schools. Before that, she worked in the Clinton administration at the Commerce Department and Small Business Administration, leading international trade and small business programs. She was the first candidate to officially announce for this seat or make it known, launching her campaign last week. Time makes no sense anymore. I think I got that right. If you're watching live, you can submit questions during our conversation. You can also watch this live anytime or afterward on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X, as well as our website. So let's bring her on with that intro. Hopefully I got it all right. Eileen, how are you?
That was perfect. Thank you so much, Ryan. Good evening to you. How are you?
Good, and it's great to meet you. We have not met before. I've only been here for a couple of years and just jumped back into this journalism game here in Alexandria. So I'm if nothing else happens, at least I'm meeting everybody, some cool people.
Great. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. For those who might be meeting you as well, why don't you give us a little bit more of a background? Maybe I didn't hit on, or maybe that you want to go deeper in.
Sure. Well, thank you, Ryan. And it's a pleasure to be here and to be able to talk to an audience of folks that I know you've worked to grow. So thank you for having this. So my name is Eileen Cassidy Rivera. I have been an Alexandria resident for 30 years. I moved here back in the 90s when I worked, as you mentioned, in the Clinton administration. And so since I left government, I have had a 25-year career as a communications, public affairs, and marketing executive in the government contracting industry. And I'm bringing those skills to my quest to be the next Democratic delegate for the House District 5.
How did this all come up?
Yeah.
Keep going. Go ahead.
I was going to say, just also, I'm a mother. Been raising my children here in Delray. I have 3 wonderful children. They're and my oldest are in their 20s, and my youngest is still a teenager. She's 19 in college. So
excellent. How did this all come about? Has this been a long-term, maybe someday, or has it been something you've always wanted? Why are you running now? Why was this the race, and why is this the position?
No, it's a great question, Ryan. So public service is sort of in my DNA. My grandfather ran for Congress in the 1930s in the state of Wisconsin, where I am from. I was born in Milwaukee. And while he didn't win, I believe I got that political bug from my late grandfather, Jack Cassidy. So flash forward, after I served in the administration, I had an idea to run for public office, and an opportunity presented itself as I was raising my kids and was getting to know a little bit more about the school system. I ran for the school board in 2006 when I was 7 months pregnant with my daughter, and had a good experience on the school board and would have loved to have gone on to serve more. But my children were very young and they wanted mommy more at home. So I put my additional interest in running for office on hold, and now it's a really good time in my life. So
that is 20 years ago. What is your biggest? What do you remember? What do you take away from that experience?
yeah, no, Ryan. So what I do remember is one is having a lot of conversations with constituents, with my neighbors, with friends and families who advocated for their kids, all different types of situations, whether it was special needs, whether it was the families in the part of Arlandria and Chirilagua, where I live close to, and helping families advocate for their kids and for their children's education. That's what I remember the most, because I really saw myself, and I continue to see myself as a voice, especially for those who just don't know how to advocate for their kids. When their kids come home from school and they show their mommy or their daddies their report cards, and they're not getting the kinds of grades that they should be getting or would like to be getting, a lot of parents don't know how to advocate for their kids. And so that's one of the things that I take away, Ryan, is that is something that I enjoy doing, is helping people who may not know how to navigate schools and governments. And that's what I'm hoping to bring to this opportunity to serve even more of our community, being that voice in Richmond for Alexandria.
Sticking to education for a minute, do you see that the wants, needs, challenges have changed all that much since, let's say, 20 years ago? Or how have they changed over the years that you've witnessed from either being involved in it or just watching from the sideline over the last couple of years?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Some of this is, as you mentioned, one of the areas that I focused on while I served on the school board was to help achieve, minimize and shrink and eliminate the achievement gap, right? Which is, there's a gap between certain demographic of students and another demographic of students, where some students do extremely well. They either get tested as talented and gifted, for example, and they get into a certain track that allows them to be extremely successful, and they get out of our public schools and go on to do amazing things. And we should be very proud of those successes. Then there's a whole other demographic of students who don't ever get to that point, and they either aren't able to advance. They're not able to take advantage of all of the amazing programs that our school system offers. And so there are students that never graduate. And so sadly, Ryan, that's still an issue in our school system. And a lot of it goes back to what I was talking about, is helping families advocate for their students and for their children. So that's still an issue. I would say also another issue that we continue to face is the funding of our schools, right? I remember back when I ran, there was this notion of needing to fight for full funding of our public schools. Like every year when the city and the school board get together, right? There's this whole add delete session, right? Where the school board has to really negotiate with all the other needs that the city has. And a lot of things end up being deleted because there's so many other pressing needs that the city has. So one of the things that I really would like to do in being the next delegate is to fight for additional funding for our public schools.
I'll go back to it quickly, because you just stole my thunder on how would you increase state support for Alex. Well, I'll still ask it. Do you have any particular ideas of how do you increase state support for Alexandria City Public Schools? Oftentimes, I don't think it's a secret or wrong to say, but from the outside looking in, everybody thinks everybody in Alexandria is fine and the school system's fine. They don't need more money up there. How do you rally Richmond and people from across the state saying, we need more money?
Well, we're not alone. Our colleagues in Arlington, Falls Church, Fairfax, we're all in the same boat. So I've built really good relationships with the local elected officials in these jurisdictions. And one of the thoughts that I have, and I've talked to a few of my of other delegates, is what happens is each school district kind of creates their own system, whether it's busing, whether it's transportation, whether it's all of the different infrastructure that each school system has. And one of the thoughts I had is, how could we centralize some of the infrastructure so that we're not paying for 3 times for the same infrastructure that we could all leverage? So it's something that I've thought about, and I've had some good conversations, like I said, with some of the other state leaders. I think it's a matter of building relationships and working towards common goals.
The General Assembly just kicked things off on Wednesday, and it was certainly a busy week. You'll be joining. It's a 60-day session. You'll be joining if you were elected. It would be February 18th-ish. How do you plan to hit the ground running?
Yeah, so I'm really excited about what just happened in just the last 24 hours of now Governor Spanberger's historic inauguration as the first female governor of the great Commonwealth of Virginia. And some of the things that I've been following, and I have to confess that I haven't followed every developments in the last 24 hours. But one of the things that I absolutely look forward to working on is the affordability agenda, which I think is pretty key to her platform. One of the things that I have been working to address is some legislation that has been introduced by, again, fellow delegates. There is a bill that was introduced by Senator Jeremy McPike, who coincidentally also manages, I believe, general services in Alexandria, I believe. I'm not exactly.
He's one of 3 City of Alexandria employees who are in the state legislature now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this, it's called SB 74, that was introduced by Senator McPike, that would authorize any locality in the Commonwealth to provide for affordable housing dwelling units. And it would be done by amending zoning ordinance, which is, I'm sure you've been following, a lot of what holds a lot of jurisdictions back from expanding housing is zoning. As I understand, current law restricts authorization to counties with an urban county executive form of government. There's all of these requirements that would basically free up land that can be used for additional affordable housing. So that's one that I would, depending on where it is, if this crossover happens, by the time I hopefully win in the primary and then go on to the general, we'll see where that is. But that is an area that I'm very interested in.
Would that be your, say, top legislative priority, or what's the first bill that you would want to work on in Richmond? Or, what's kind of you going in thinking, this is what I need to get done for the constituents of Alexandria?
Well, so my Ryan, the 3 areas that I have been hearing from voters right here in my own neighborhood to across the district is, 1 is to fully fund our public schools, 2 is to expand affordable housing, and 3 is to ensure we have a safe community. So I will be looking at laws and bills that are being either introduced, co-introduced, and or I could be a patron of. And so I am currently looking at laws and legislation where I could be either an accelerant and or to help expand to ensure that we're bringing Alexandria's interests forward.
Is there any community legislator, politician that you look at for inspiration and say, you know what, that community or that person, or they have good ideas, and I think creatively acquiring instead of coming up with new stuff sometimes is the best way forward. And I'm just wondering if you're looking anywhere or watching anywhere.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So I'm very honored to have received the endorsement of Delegate Elizabeth Guzman, who is lives near her district is where I believe where Senator McPike is near. And so she is someone that I've looked up to for wisdom, guidance, and for understanding of how she has worked to listen to her constituents' needs and how she has translated that into results back to the community that she's now serving again in I think a redrawn district. But she's one example that I look up to very much.
What have you been hearing from people since you announced that you were running, or when you started having those early conversations in particular? And just for fun, I would love to hear what your children thought.
I'll start with my children. Well, thankfully, they're all very supportive. In fact, as we speak, they're all on the phone, making phone calls to voters. So
voluntold. Yeah.
Pardon?
Voluntold.
Voluntold. There you go.
Yeah.
They've been walking around, talking to our neighbors, doing all these things that when I ran 20 years ago, they got out of doing because they were, 6 and 8 at the time. But yeah, no, they're totally on board, and I'm very lucky to have their support. So what have I been hearing? So honestly, what I've been hearing, Ryan, is that we don't have enough of a voice fighting for the things that our community needs. That we have allowed Richmond to tell us what to do more than us demanding more. That's what I've been hearing.
And how do you do that? How do you demand more, or how do you bigger voice, or how do you plan on changing that?
Through relationships. I mentioned that my 25-year career in being a communications and public affairs leader for some of the most well-known government contracting companies in this region. I've built relationships with not just industry, but with local government, especially in Virginia. And so I plan on using those relationships and drawing on those to push harder. It's something that, as a woman that has earned a seat at the table in corporate America and the government contracting industry, I am very accustomed to having to not just ask once or ask twice, but ask until you get it done. So I plan on bringing those skills to this next challenge that I'm excited about.
You mentioned housing, affordable housing earlier, and I'm just wondering, in your thoughts or words, regarding housing and affordable housing, and I know there's all sorts of definitions for what affordable housing is, but what's the problem and how do we fix it, or how do you fix it as somebody who's a delegate in Richmond?
Yeah, no, it's not a one person, as I'm sure you know that this is a team sport, and thankfully, because of the relationships that I have built and will continue to build, there are what I would consider to be, everyone acknowledges that this is an area that we've all kind of come short of. We've come short, right? And so I plan to work collaboratively with our local leadership on council, with fellow delegates and senators. And, you know, I'm kind of old fashioned in this way where I like to draw up a list of goals and to assign accountability and honestly dates by when things will happen, and to be extremely transparent with that. So I think transparency does create greater accountability, and to not just be transparent among the electeds, but transparent with the community so they hold us accountable. They know, all right, by 2026, at the end of 2026, let's just say we will have, you know, achieved, you know, X thousands of more units. And then the plan will then be to continue to march to increase housing so that we're keeping our community not just aware, but holding us accountable.
Just with the accountability as well as transparency, what does being a delegate and communication with your constituents look like?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's what I would like to really be more sort of the signature for what people will see in having elected me. And that is, I am a big believer in going to the places where people live, work, and play, right? Instead of asking people to come to you, right? What I have throughout my career, I have felt that I've been more successful in meeting people where they are. So, you know, I think, for example, I think it's good that just in the past, couple of weeks now, I use this as an example that our current city hall has had to close for renovation, and it's going to be using the Del Pepper Center on the west end as a new, you know, hub, a place of a new headquarters, so to speak. I think that's good. I think it's good that, you know, folks on that side of the city, for example, are now going to have a closer commute, if you will, to see government in action. So I'm very much about going to where people are, and that's what you'll get with me.
As anybody who's been watching closely knows, there are approximately 13,000 federal workers who call Alexandria home. Many of them have faced uncertainty in the last year, as well as immigrant communities, as well as trans communities. You know, what can a state delegate do to protect these Alexandrians from whatever policies might be coming from across the river?
Well, there's not a lot that we can do to control what the executive branch or the legislative branch does, but what we can control is how we support our fellow neighbors and impacted colleagues that are looking for work and and I've talked to several of them the last couple of days, people who have been applying for jobs and are getting rejections and getting no responses and are starting to give up hope. And that really is telling that we are at a point where we used to think of our region as being sort of like that steady part of the economy that no matter what, the government is always that rock, right? Well, one of the things that I absolutely would like to initiate, and I know some of this has already been initiated by, say, Congressman Byer, for example, is to tap into the relationships that I know I will bring, is to help people better network, right? There are there are employers all across our region who are looking for skilled workers, who are looking for experienced, knowledgeable people who understand how government works, who have that experience in procurement, who have that experience in developing requirements and those kinds of things. So that's a skill set that I will bring, and to really kick it into even higher gear. I think that we don't want to see our region unnecessarily depressed when it comes to employment. And it's something that I plan on working very, very collaboratively with my fellow elected officials.
You mentioned workers, and we got this question submitted a couple times, but where do you stand, or do you have an opinion on repealing Virginia's right to work law? What does that mean for workers in Alexandria?
I'm going to be honest with you, Ryan. I am still looking at that. I haven't formed an opinion on it yet. So come back to me in a couple of weeks. I just want to admit that I'm still reviewing it.
A lot of questions about some of what the House and Senate have already pushed through in just their first couple of days, but there are some constitutional amendments, and they've advanced 4 constitutional amendments so far this session: redistricting, reproductive freedom, voting rights, marriage equality. Do you have any thoughts about the 4 of them? The one that might be coming up in April is the redistricting in order for the midterms. Do you support them, and would you like to see them come up to vote here in April?
I'm on board 100% with every one of those. Yes, 100%. I think on the redistricting part, I'll just talk about that one for just a minute. Listen, I'm going to tell you something right now, Ryan. I am having in 5 days, not of course, run a campaign to let the electorate know who I am and what I bring, but I'm having to educate them on whether or not they live in District 5. And it's amazing. Like we've been sharing this map that you've probably seen. Like, look at the shaded part of the map. Yeah. And I don't know about you. Most people do not look at maps anymore. Right? If it's not in Google Maps, how do I know where something is? Right? And a very savvy person who lives in this district says, "How come you all haven't figured out how to put in Google Maps what the district is? You don't have to look at a map and see and squint and see whether or not you live on the border or not." So I'll just say off the bat, I support redistricting. But we have to do also education so that people not only, of course, know what will happen as a result of redistricting, but what district do you live in? Who's my delegate? Who's my state senator? Who's my member of Congress? Those kinds of things I feel we have overlooked. And that's something that I will be very adamant about is voter education, because the only way people will be engaged is if they're educated. And
just to help educate people here, if you go to alexdems.org, you will see this fancy map, and this is District 5, where you will be able to look to see if you live within District 5. But there's also this handy dandy link here that will tell you can put in your address, and who's my .virginia.generalassembly.gov will tell you what district you live in if you don't. And finally, just while we're on it and educating people, the polling places will be Beatley Library on Duke Street, as well as Charles Houston Recreation Center. So there's my PSA. We'll consider it a commercial break. So, and you can see all that at alexdems.org is where all that information is. A couple other questions regarding elections that were sent in is, would you support amendments to switch Virginia's elections to even year? How about expanding the 60-day maximum for the legislative session, and how about improving this process that you have all been going in?
Yeah, no. So yes, I'm all about voter turnout and ensuring that we do things that contribute to more people exercising their constitutional right to vote. So I will be looking at ways that we can enhance that. And the even year question. I remember when I was on school board and we had this discussion around whether or not we should be holding elections in off years of the presidential election to not put so much burden on the ballot, so to speak, and all of the folks that work to ensure that we have fair and safe and transparent elections. I mean, I will continue to evaluate the options, Ryan, and hit me back in a couple of weeks, and I'll have after I've had an opportunity to talk to my colleagues. I'm all about also not reinventing the wheel, and if there are key initiatives and bills underway to change some of this, I would like to add, not duplicate.
This might be another one to look at, but a few people wrote in about Virginia being a Dillon rule state, meaning that localities can only do what the state explicitly allows. And would you support a home rule constitution amendment to give cities like Alexandria more autonomy?
Yes, I do. I do think, and I think the autonomy that a jurisdiction such as Alexandria not only needs, but frankly deserves, because of just the location of where we are so close to the federal government. There's so much that I think that we should be pushing harder for, and the Dillon rule is absolutely one of them.
You are running against 3 other Democrats who share many of your values and many values of the Democratic Party. Tell voters what distinguishes you from your opponents, what sets you apart, and why they should be voting for you on Tuesday.
So, as I've been sharing with my neighbors and voters and constituents who I'm talking to, is that, listen, I've spent my career solving complex challenges, and I am going to bring that same passion to addressing some of our community's greatest needs. As I mentioned, expanding affordable housing, ensuring we have a safe community, and fully funding our public schools are 3 of my top priorities. And I think what sets me apart, honestly, is that I have worked at every level of government, federal, state, and local. I have also spent 25 years as a corporate executive. And so I bring that decision-making and skill set that helps to make decisions. I help to look at how private and public sector partners work together, that I feel as though will be an extreme asset to the city of Alexandria.
People have more information about your campaign, they can go to your website. It's your last name for delegate.com. So that's riverafordelegates.com. Some of the things they'll find on there.
Some of the things you'll find on there. So I'm updating it every day. But right now, what you will find is a little bit more about myself, and also why I'm running, and my top priorities, and also how you can donate to my campaign. I will be shortly adding a page of my endorsements and organizations that are supporting me. I am proud to have earned the endorsements of Congressman Don Beyer. I've also been being supported by Clean Virginia. I also have been endorsed by former Secretary of the Navy and Marine Corps, Carlos Del Toro, as well as Delegate Elizabeth Guzman, and there's more coming tonight and tomorrow.
All right, like that. It's a little tease. And did we miss anything? Was there anything that you wanted to get to this evening that we did not get to?
All right. Now, this has been a great conversation. You asked great questions, and I really have enjoyed this opportunity. For listening. I've learned a little bit more about me, and I look forward to earning your vote.
Excellent. And people can go to your website if they would like to get in touch or read more. And we appreciate you joining us. I don't know, someday I'll get over that. We is me and the dogs, I guess. But I appreciate you joining me this evening, and I wish you the very best of luck on Tuesday.
Thank you, Ryan. I really look forward to meeting you. I think I've seen you in person.
Probably.
But I look forward to seeing you again, and thank you for inviting me to be on this show with you tonight.
Of course, and we appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, and that is Eileen Cassidy Rivera. And again, you can check out riverafordelegate.com if you want more information about her campaign or to get in touch or to donate. And as she said, the site is being updated around the clock. If you missed any portion of this conversation, want to watch it again, want to share it, want to listen to it, all available on our website, alexandriabrief.com, as well as on our social media channels. They are all being turned into podcasts as quickly as I possibly can, so you can listen to them on the go if you can't spend the time watching. So share them with your friends, family, everybody who lives in Alexandria. Thanks for watching.